Hi there, and welcome to what we hope is going to be the best syllabus video that you've watched all day long. If you've watched no other syllabus videos, then it definitely will be, and I win. Welcome to U.S. History 1, U.S. History to 1865. Our course has missed its first week because of the snow, and usually on the first day of the semester we spend the whole class period most of the class period, going over the syllabus in detail. To try to make up for the week that we've missed, I'm shifting that burden on to you to do on your own outside of class, which is watch this video. During this video, I'll ask you a series of questions, and what I'd like you to do is have just a sheet of paper and a pen or pencil handy, and as I ask you the questions, just jot your answer down, and when we're done with the syllabus video explanation, the syllabus explanation video, that's the right way to say it, when we're done, you can just take a picture of the answers you jotted down and then send it to me by email. Our course information is at the top of the syllabus. There's my name. I am Dr. Rydell, or Professor Rydell. That's the way to pronounce it that I'm used to. It's apparently not right if you're German, but I'm not German. I grew up in Virginia. So what I'm used to is Rydell. Try it one time. Rydell. You didn't try it, but that's okay. We'll practice. Our course meets Tuesday, Thursday, 1 to 2:15. My office is Humanities 275 on the Rockville campus. Please make sure, if you have a hard copy of the syllabus there with you, that you circle my office location and my office hours. Office hours, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 2:30 to 3:15. So that includes being available right after our class on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then, starting on February 9th, I'll also be available on Monday and Wednesday morning. Just to make sure you understand what office hours are, it means that your professor is supposed to be in their office, available to help you. So in my case, you don't need to make an appointment, you don't need to schedule anything, you don't need to ever ask me, when can I come see you? You just look at the syllabus, and there are the hours that I'm in my office, waiting, looking at the door, hoping that I get to help you. Okay, make note of that, because as you'll see when we get to the grade in a little bit, you have to come visit my office. Our course brings us up to 1865, and while we learn about the history up to 1865, the course offers you an opportunity to experience the learning environment before the 21st century. Since the 21st century, there's been an increasing assault on what's called attention span, and partially for that reason, there are no laptops or cell phones allowed in our classroom during our class period. Your cell phone should be put away before entering the classroom. You're going to take notes during lectures, and so you'll need a notebook, either a spiral notebook or one of those 3-ring binders where you put loose sheets of paper into the binder. And you'll need that to take notes throughout the semester. Every study of learning indicates that learning outcomes are better when people write by hand instead of typing. And we are keeping the distraction of the personal screen away from us for our 75 minutes twice a week. So if you're like, but I love my phone, I have so many things to do on my phone, then you can stay in the hallway right up until class begins and, come into class at 12:59, right before we start at 1 p.m. And that's fine. But when we come into the classroom, instead of looking down at a screen, we want to try to look at each other and like see each other, talk to each other as humans. I know this sounds weird, but before the 21st century, this is just what we did all the time. We were bored and we just talked to each other, and our mental health was so much better than the measurements of mental health today. Um, okay, so that's the first big ask of you is like you gotta keep your phone put away. No laptops, no phones. The second important thing before we get into the actual course is that this is a no AI course. And as you'll see as we talk about how the course works, I've tried to AI proof the class, but if you figure out some way to use AI and turn in AI produced work as though it's your own, you will fail the class. So please, if you figure out a way to do it, don't do it. A broader note about AI, the college does not have a college-wide AI policy. Instead, each professor is supposed to be clear with students about the AI policy in that professor's course. And that is what I have done for you right here. Um, this creates a burden on you as a student, though, because it means that you have to know the policy for each course that you're taking. And so as you look at your other courses and your other syllabi, make sure that you understand that you may have different policies for different courses, but make sure you know the policy for this class, because I don't want you to fail. Course objectives. See the things marked with the asterisks? You have to be able to do those by the time we finish the semester, or you're not supposed to pass the class. There's a Gen Ed statement. The course fulfills the humanities distribution requirement. And then there's a paragraph here about this website the college has created with important information for students. If you have a copy of the syllabus on your computer, you can click the link right here and it'll bring you to that site. If you have a hard copy of the syllabus on your desk there in front of you, just use your index finger and press the word here on your hard copy of the syllabus and see what happens. There's then a little statement about the Americans with Disabilities Act. If you have any kind of disability that needs accommodations, make sure you talk to the Disability Support Services office and then discuss your accommodations with me so that we can make sure that you have a plan to get what you need so that you can be successful. The college has a bunch of great learning centers. Use them if they're helpful for this class, for your reading assignments or any other part of the course. But also keep in mind that if you're struggling in a math class or a science class, which are big hurdles for some students, the college has resources to help you. And so turn to those resources and get help. People are there to help you. All right. Before we get into the assigned materials, let me ask you my first question for you. And remember, you just have a sheet of paper, a scratch sheet of paper of any kind, and jot down your answer to this question with some indication that it is connected to this question. The question is, what's the class policy on cell phones and laptops? All right, so jot down your answer to that and then start the video again. Oh, hey, you're back. All right, so we're in the assigned materials section here on page 2 of the syllabus. And, oh, look at the kitty cat reading the book. Isn't that pretty special? The first important thing to note here is that there is no textbook. All right, so no textbook that you're going to be asked to read a chapter or two of each week. Instead, the lectures that will complete together in the course will provide a narrative about U.S. history up to 1865. And then, in addition to that broad story that you'll get through the lectures, you're going to read a book and watch a film. you're going to choose one of the books here on the syllabus related to U.S. history up to 1865. You're going to choose the book that you find most interesting and the book that you think you're going to get the most out of. And then you're going to research your film options, which are right down here. There are 3 different film options, and you're going to choose one of those. So, from the list here on the syllabus, you're going to pick a book and a movie. All of the book options in this class are available to read online for free through the Montgomery College Library. You can click the link right here. It'll bring you to the library's homepage, and then just put in the full title of the book. Make sure that what you get matches the author listed on the syllabus, and it should bring you right to a page where you can read the entire book for free on your TuTh at home. However, if you're like me, you don't read a book effectively on the computer. This may not be true for everybody, but lots of people are, like me, less effective when they read a book on a computer than when they read it holding it in their hands. And if that's the case for you, which it probably is, but not certainly, then I urge you to order a copy of the book that you choose once you've chosen your book. You'll see that one of the first things you'll have to do in the class is do a little bit of research and figure out what each of the books are about and what each of the movies are about to make your decisions. You cannot, that was 4 cannots, right? I'll do one more. Cannot make your pick based on reading the titles and thinking, oh, this one sounds good. You have to actually do just a little bit of research and learn what they're about. To do that, a great way to proceed, an effective way to proceed, is to use Amazon's website and just put in the book title one by one, read a little summary of the book, reviews of the book. In many cases, you can read an excerpt from the book. You can also, remember, open each of the books up through the MC library, and if you want to be more thorough, like read the introduction, that kind of thing. So, do some research. For the movies, an effective way to go is to put the movie title into YouTube and watch a trailer. So watch like 3 movie trailers to pick the one that you're going to do. One of the first things then you'll have to do in class, once you've made your selections, is in class explain your selections. You'll have to imagine that you have a blank sheet of paper and you have to write down the book that you picked, what it's about, the movie you picked, what it's about, and then, more vaguely, a little bit about what the other books and movies are about. We'll talk more about that task when we get there in a little while. We're on page 3. We are killing it. Give me a high five. Oh, this is difficult. We did it. All right, your grade for the class is out of 1,000 points at the end of the semester. Right now, you have 0 points. This is not very good. But of course it's fine because you haven't started earning points yet. The way to think about your grade then is that you're going to accumulate points, sort of like saving money. And if by the end of the semester you get to 700 points, that'll be 700 out of 1,000, and that's a C. 800 a B, 900 an A, 100-point scale. So then here are the components of that 1,000 point total. First, the office visit. It's not hard. You just have to come to my office during office hours. That's it. We'll talk one-on-one for a couple minutes, maybe 5 minutes if we like the same music. And this gives us a chance to talk one-on-one, gives me a chance to answer your questions, to make sure you're starting the course off on the right foot. And I've found that by making students come to the office for the office visit, students are then more likely to come to my office hours later in the semester when they just have questions, need help. It's like it doesn't feel daunting. It doesn't feel like a big deal. They're like, oh, I've already been. I can just go ask the professor a question. Um, okay, so that's the first part. It's easy, but if you don't do it, you get a 0. You do it, you get a 10. You have to do this by the end of our second week, Thursday the 12th. What would have been our third week had we not lost the first one because of snow. The next big chunk of your grade is class participation, which you can see is 18% of your grade, 180 points. This involves getting the class on time, being engaged throughout the class, obviously making sure your phone's put away, etc. And part of the participation grade is verbal, like I'll ask you questions, I'll want you to know what's going on, but part of it is also nonverbal. It's the thing of like, are you engaged? Are you on the ship? If you think of the class as a ship and we're all on an adventure together, or have you gotten on the ship? I don't know if that metaphor makes sense, but I hope it does. We'll come back and make another important point about the participation grade in a few minutes. Next, the reading and movie assessments. Remember, as we talked about a few moments ago, you're going to read a book, watch a movie. You're going to select your book and movie by looking up all the options, learning what they're about, choosing the ones that are right for you. And then, in class, we'll do this thing called the assignments selection, where I'll give you a little prompt. The directions are just what I told you they would be. What book did you pick? What is it about? What movie did you pick? What is it about? What are the other books and movies about? It's really just like that. And you have to get at least a 3 out of 5 to proceed. If you can't tell me what book and movie you picked, then you can't go read the book or movie. So make sure you're ready when we do this in class. If you don't get at least a 3 out of 5, I don't want you to fail, but you have to like come to my office hours and redo it, and it just becomes a pain. So avoid it. Be prepared. Then, after you've done the selecting of your book and movie, you'll get started reading your book. And we'll break your book up roughly into thirds. So, if the book has 6 chapters, maybe you'll read chapters 1 and 2 for the first assessment, where in class, you'll answer some questions about what you've read in your book. And then you'll read the middle third of the book, we'll have another reading assessment, and then at the end of the semester, you'll have finished the book, and we'll have a third assessment about the last part of the book. In the final weeks of the semester, that's when you'll watch your movie, and we'll have an in-class movie assessment. So together, the selections and then the assessments of your reading and your movie, altogether, that's worth 200 points, 20% of your total grade. We'll have 2 little map quizzes that will cover the geography that you need to know for the history to make sense. I'll give you review sheets ahead of time, and together, those are worth 7% of your grade, 70 points. We'll have 2 in-class debates, role-playing historical debates where we sort of pretend like we're back in the past at some historical moment. You don't need to do anything ahead of time for the debates, except keep up with the lecture material and have your notebook with your handwritten notes with you there in class so you can use your notes. We'll have 3 tests. The tests will cover what we do in lecture, not the book that you're reading. To do well in the tests, you need to keep up with the lecture material, take good notes, and then study effectively. I'll give you a review sheet for each test, and if you use that review sheet and put in the time to study, you should do well. We'll have a series of little quizzes called key term quizzes that are little fill-in-the-blank quizzes that we'll do at the beginning of certain class periods, and those are each worth 10 points. We'll have 7 of them, and let me see if I can figure out how much that's worth altogether. Oh, there it is. 70 points, 7% of your total grade. So if you add those things up, that adds up to 1,000 points. However, if you want to make sure you don't fail, or if you want to make sure you don't get a B, that is, you're trying to make sure you get an A because you really care about your grades. If you want to be successful in the class, whatever that measure of success is for you, make sure you do this part. It's going to earn you 15 bonus points at each of the 3 tests. So if you keep up with the lecture material, you'll get 15 points added to your Test 1 grade, 15 points added to your Test 2 grade, and your Test 3 grade. So, as it says here, some of the lecture material will be delivered in class, and some through YouTube lecture videos. The basic rhythm of the class is that you come to class, we have discussion and lecture, and you take notes. Then, after class, you watch some lecture videos that continue the story, and you take notes. So if you just get into that rhythm, keep up with it, you can add a total of 45 points to your overall grade. That's 15 points 3 times, and that adds up to 45 if math is not your thing. Okay, so before we slide on to page 4, let me ask you a second question. How will you select your book and movie? I'm not asking you to tell me what your book and movie selections are, just to tell me how you're going to go about picking them. All right? Okay, so jot down your answer to that and then come right back. Hey, that was quick. So here on page 4, ways to succeed in the class. Number 1, come to class. Your participation grade is the accumulation of individual participation grades. That is to say, you get a participation grade for each class period. And so if you're absent, you got a 0. Obviously, you didn't do any participating if you weren't there. At the end of the semester, your 2 lowest participation grades will drop out of the overall total. So if you miss 2 days of class, you got 2 zeros, but your 2 lowest scores drop. And then if you got a perfect score for every other day when you were there, you'd have a perfect participation grade. So if you can miss 2 days of class and it doesn't affect your participation grade. But if you're consistently late, leave early, leave in the middle of class, these things will really hurt your participation grade. Number 2, use our Blackboard page. You've got to use the Blackboard page to be ready for the quizzes, the tests, etc. Number 3, use your MC email. Email me from your MC email. Do not send me messages through Blackboard. It'll take me just much longer to get back to you. Send me an email directly from your email. That is your MC email, not your Gmail or anything else. Number 4, if you have problems, talk to me. I can only be flexible if I know what's happening. So, look, it's in italics, so you know it must be important, right? Communication is the key to success, dog. Wait, it doesn't say dog. It just says communication is the key to success. And it's true. Number 5, take good notes. Number 6, figure on 2 to 3 hours outside of class for every hour spent in class. So to do the math on that for us, we are in class for 2.5 hours, so you should figure on 5 to 7.5 hours of work outside of class each week. Do the math on that. If you're taking 4 classes, then you should figure that college is going to take you 40 hours a week, or at sort of the upper end, it could take you 40 hours a week. If you're taking 5 classes, that could take you 50 hours a week to do well. Don't overdo it. Number 7, participate. It's important. Number 8, if you decide to drop a course, complete the form online. It used to be paperwork. Now it's online paperwork. Number 9, don't cheat. And next, there's this bit here about class and the notes, how it works. This is an elaboration of what I already explained to you a little bit. Our class meets Tuesday, Thursday, 1 to 2:15. When we get to 2:15 in our Tuesday class, let's say, we'll be in the middle of some historical story, and we'll run out of class time. And I will say to you, class is over, you got to get out. And you'll yell at me, no, no, the story is so good, we want more history. And sometimes it gets really raucous, and like everybody's yelling at me, and they're like, more history, give us more history, professor. And I'll be like, no, get out. And this goes on for a while, and eventually you leave. And then, after class, you have to go to Blackboard and watch the continuation of the story that you were demanding of me in class. So you'll go to Blackboard, and after a Tuesday class, there will be 30 to 45 minutes of lecture material just that I've recorded and put on YouTube, and you'll have to watch that and take notes. And then when we come back to class on Thursday, we'll continue the story from where those post-class videos left off. So the videos outside of class will be 30 to 45 minutes after the Tuesday class, and 75 to 100 minutes after Thursday's class. That's when you have 5 days before we come back to class. If you miss a class period, there will be videos that cover what we covered in the class that you missed. So have you ever had that thing where you miss a class, you're like out sick for a week, and you come back and you're confused about what's going on, and you ask another student, oh my gosh, can I see your notes? I don't know what's happening. Here, the lectures are recorded. So if you miss a class period, you can just go to the Blackboard page, watch the videos, and keep up even though you missed class. So when we get to test 1, if you have complete notes for all the test 1 material, that is, notes from class, plus notes from the videos, notes from class, plus notes from the videos, etc., 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 then you get 15 points added to your test grade. And as you'll find, many students think the tests are difficult. And so getting 15 points extra credit is, to quote one student, pretty dope. Okay, let me give you a third question. What's your plan for taking notes in this class? All right, so jot down your answer. Okay, next, here at the bottom of page 4 and continuing on page 5 is the course schedule for the semester. I almost posted the syllabus before class started. And if you got an earlier version of the syllabus, make sure that you use this snow updated version, which obviously has nothing due during week 1 or week 2. So the first thing that you'll have to do in class is on our second Tuesday, and that's where you'll explain your book and movie. That's the assignments selection. Details on Blackboard, but it's basically what I explained to you already. And then on that Thursday, our first key term quiz. And as you go through the weeks like that, you can see if the day is listed, then we're doing something in class besides lecture and discussion. So Tuesday, key term quiz 2, Thursday's not listed. That just means Thursday is just lecture and discussion. And then there's test 1, key term quiz 3. Here's our first reading assessment. So once you pick your book, you want to get your book and then get started. You need to read roughly the first third of it by March 3rd. I'll give you a specific page that you have to read to, but that's the way to think of it, getting started. Yeah, and so then you can proceed like that through the whole semester. So key term quizzes, map quiz, tests, reading assessment, all laid out here in the course schedule. Before we move to page 6, let me ask you a fourth question. Can you do it? And I know that's vague. That's really hard to answer. Let me be more specific. Can you do the basic thing that the course is going to ask of you, which is to keep up? To keep up with this basic rhythm where, like, okay, go to class on Tuesday, learn some stuff. It's super interesting. And then I need to spend this amount of time watching these videos outside of class and taking notes. And then come to class on Thursday, and then over the weekend, spend this amount of time watching the videos, taking notes. And really think about that ask, right? Like what the class is asking of you. And tell me if you can do it. And honestly, if you really think that through and you're like, I can't do it, then the class probably won't work for you, which bums me out. But yeah, if you can do that, then you're probably going to be successful. And if you are really being honest with yourself and you're like, I can't do that, I don't keep up with things well, then you're probably going to struggle. You might fail. Okay, so hopefully the answer to number 4 is yes, I can. Okay, we're in college-wide policies and procedures. An important note here in the attendance section. Remember that, like I told you, you can miss 2 days of class, doesn't affect your participation grade. But after that, each 0 is just a 0 sitting there dragging down your participation grade. And if you miss 7 class periods, you will receive an automatic F. Doesn't matter if you got good grades on the tests or whatever. That's too much class. You're not part of the community if you've missed that much class. So you gotta try to come to class. Obviously, if something's causing you to miss class, to whatever extent you can, communicate with me. Let me know what's going on. Okay, then we got withdrawal and refund dates. You can check those through your MyMC account. There's audit policy, disability support services, veteran services, delayed opening or closing. We already had some of that, didn't we? Communication, sexual misconduct, we are against it. Pregnancy, we support it. And then important links for students. Here's another link to that syllabus page. And we've done it. In less than 35 minutes, we have made it to the end of the syllabus. So I have one more question for you. It's my 5th question for you. How will you avoid being surprised by a quiz or an assessment? Like, sometimes there are these students who walk into class and they go, we're having a quiz today? How will you avoid that ever happening to you? All right, and there's my 5 questions for you. So if you can send me an email with your answers to those 5 questions before we meet on Tuesday, February 3rd, is that right? I think that's right. You will get 2 bonus points added to your grade, which means you'll have the highest grade in the class. You can tell your mom, put it on the refrigerator. All right, I look forward to meeting you in class. I'll see you then.